The purpose of this video is to show you how to solve a quadratic equation by using square roots. Let's take a look at our steps. The very first step we need to do, because b equals 0, is write our quadratic formula in this format: ax squared on one side and c on the other side. Next, we'll isolate for the x squared term by dividing both sides by a. We'll now take the square root of both sides, as it is the inverse of squaring. And then we have to remember that our answer always gets plus or minus. There are two solutions when you square root, and we simplify if need be. Finally, we verify our solution. I have 4 examples I'd like to walk through with you here. Again, the first step is to make it say ax squared equals c. This one is done, and this is a candidate for using square roots. The next step says to isolate and get only x squared by itself. So now we have done that by dividing by 3. We get x squared equals 25. We do the inverse of squaring, which is square rooting, and we get x on the left side and plus or minus 5 on the right-hand side. Those are my 2 solutions. In the next case, I do not have ax squared equals my c value, so I'm going to have to add 72 to both sides. Now I've got it where I want it. I'll divide both sides by 2. In an attempt to isolate the x squared term. And once I've got x squared, I square root both sides. Because again, that is the inverse, and the square root of 36 is both plus and minus 6. In the next example, similarly to the last one, I got to move that 9 to the other side because I want it to be ax squared equals my c value. Next, I divide by 4, and I'll leave it 9/4. And finally, I'll square root both sides, and I get x equals plus or minus the square root of 9 over the square root of 4, which those are nice numbers that I know the answers to. It is plus or minus 3/2. Those are my 2 solutions. And finally, 3x squared plus 12 equals 0. In this case, again, it's not set up where I want it to be, so I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. I get 3x squared equals negative 12. I'll divide by 3, and in doing so, I'm going to get x squared equals negative 4. And there's a problem here when I go to square root, because I cannot square root a negative value. That answer does not exist in the real number system, so we say no solution for this one. This would be an example of a parabola that did not touch the x-axis ever. These other 3 would touch at 2 locations each because they had 2 solutions.